Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Bash on the Buttons for Week 3 of WWE WrestleMania X8 for Nintendo GameCube. This is the final week. I can't believe it. I was looking forward to so much this game. Never played it. Great game. Had a good time with it. And we got the official strategy guide in the mail for episode 2 and 3. Yesterday, we jumped in randomly and we won the WWF Championship on Warzone. We won the world title here with William Regal, and now we're trying to win the Intercontinental title with Shane Helms. But if you remember, we were trying to figure out what happens when you actually win the world title on this game. And it just so happens I have the roster screen pulled up. So let's go to that. And as you can see, Chris Benoit is now a selectable character. He was not before. So let me get out the strategy guide. I think we've gone over this in the last episode, but I just want to go over it one more time. Who we can unlock here. Ric Flair is one of them. So Chris Benoit for the heavyweight title. Stacy Keibler, for some reason, you unlock with the tag team titles. Vince McMahon for the Intercontinental title, which is what we're trying to do right now with Shane Helms. Light heavyweight title, Raven. I don't get that one. Hardcore title, Rhino. European Championship, you unlock Ric Flair. So, of course, we are trying right now to win the world or the Intercontinental title with Sugar Shane Helms, the Hurricane, as it were. So let's go ahead and get it moving. And I cannot believe it's a hardcore match. Already the last week of this game. Had so much fun playing this game. Looking forward to it. Just like I'm looking forward to Super WrestleMania starting next week for Super Nintendo. I love playing these consoles that I think, just are underrated. And you guys know GameCube's up there for me. Dreamcast is up there. I think the Super Nintendo's up there. I don't think it gets its fair shake for what it did for the gaming world as well. The graphics jump from original Nintendo to Super Nintendo was rather large, And again, remember here on the Bash and the Buttons, we play these old classic wrestling games. This is not an emulator. This is actually my Nintendo GameCube using a capture card. So just with Warzone, we had some issues, right? The game froze a few times. Not uncommon. GameCube has been. Oh no, we did have an issue in episode 2. We did. I had to clean the disc. I had a mystery ring on the inside. We got the Hurricane versus Devon Dudley here as we continue our path to the Intercontinental title. And again, Antonio Santos is here with us. What's up, buddy? Footballers, I did just pick the Bills. Yeah, this game came out in 2002. And again, the graphics jump. Well, I shouldn't say the graphics considering the mini disc and the uncertainty around it when the game was released. This game ain't bad. I will give it some props. We are Hurricane Helms trying to beat. I'm not following you, sir. I'm not stupid. Matthew Elvis Presser reminds us the Scorpion King has a tiny ding-a-ling. Speaking of underrated, I mean, Hurricane's got to go up there, right? I mean, he had some moments during this time, especially as a Hurricane. Of course, his classic Royal Rumble. Well, he had a few, actually, Royal Rumble moments. See if I can get a garbage can shot in. He took it from me. I'm going to get this cookie sheet. By the way, I love the fact that a cookie sheet is a weapon on this game. It is a joy to me. You know what I find fascinating is we always, again, we're wrestling fans, so this is what we do. Always have those, greatest ever talks, right? Somebody brought the other day, are the Dudley Boys in the greatest tag team of all time? I can't remember where I heard this conversation at. And like the person that they asked it to kind of just like laughed it off. I don't, why? I don't get that. Like the Dudleys would have fit in just fine in the 80s with the Road Warriors and the Steiners. And like, I don't understand the dismissal of the Dudleys. I don't get that. Am I saying they're better than either team? No. Are they competitive? Yeah. And I'd put Harlem Heat up there too. Edge and Christian I'd put up there. Hardy's I'd put up there. I didn't understand this complete dismissal. By the way, Road Warriors, great gimmick. What a presence in the ring. But their ring work could be scary sometimes. So since we went so long on footballers tonight, this will be a shorter show. I mean, we'll still go 45 minutes an hour here, but I do live on Eastern time. Did he just throw a chair at me? How about that, sir? You want to think about your life choices now? Oh, he took it from me. Oh, no. No. Okay. Again, when I did the pilot for the show, which the setup was, so the time period when I first came up with the show was the same. I wanted to do 3 weeks per game, but I had very distinct messages or themes I wanted each episode to be for 1, 2, and 3. And we kind of did it with the first game of Warzone, and we kind of got away from it because I don't feel like this show is at its best when it's super formatted, when we can just kind of sit here and talk in the comments and just kind of talk random things in freestyle a little bit. It's better. But I learned a lot about Super WrestleMania. And again, the acclaimed WWF relationship and the timeline and all the other stuff. I'm really looking forward to playing Super WrestleMania for the next 3 weeks. So it's a pardon the overuse of this word, pretty underrated game, the WWF. But yeah, that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to that. How do I? Uh-oh. See, we got, I mentioned it one time. We got tag team conversation going on in the chat. Let me put Devon away and we'll go over some of the teams in the chat. That was stupid. How do I pick him up? Lift A. That's not what happened when I pressed A. Or do I have to hold it maybe? Because I want to do that. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do, actually. I wanted to do his finish. The vertebreaker. Quit doing that, my friend. Am I pressing the right buttons here? Yes. Am I gonna have to? Am I gonna have to refer to the strategy guide? I know it's fin. All right. I know its finish is not a snapmare takedown. So let's find Hurricane Helms. 34. Well, they actually list him at 6 foot 191. That's kind of surprising. This says it's the. Oh, it's from behind. Okay. Okay. So we got to get lift it. Oh, it's X. I'm with it now. Okay. Let's put Devon away. There it is. Eye of the Hurricane. That's going to be all she wrote. Probably not. 1, 2. He kicked out. They always kick out. This game. See, this game is what is to fault for the fault or the false finish craze of the wrestling world today. It's this game. My goodness. Set to wear him down. By the way, Devon's got 3 specials. He's just waiting to murder me. I hear a music box or something directly above me, because my son's room is directly above us right now, or me. You're not here. It's above me. Shane Helms is one of those guys in the WWE you kind of, especially with his Hurricane gimmick, and let me be very clear what I'm saying. I'm not saying the Hurricane character should have done more. I'm saying Shane Helms, with the Hurricane gimmick, showed he could do more. I was kind of surprised he didn't do more. Well, that's not what I wanted to do, but that worked out nice. I think he easily could have been sort of a bigger part. Now, granted, at the time in 02 and 03, this is a very crowded mid-card, let alone main event. So, I mean, I get it, but why do you just do the finish, bruh? Thank you. Pin it. 1, 2, 3. And he still kicked out. He warriored me. No sold my shit. So Antonio says top 5 tag teams growing up: Hardys, Dudleys, Edge of Christian, New Age Outlaws, Los Guerreros. Solid choice of Los Guerreros. See, here's the thing. Going over, and I understand it's your top 5 from your childhood, right? But I do have an issue, just being the history nerd that I am, of having Edge and Christian, the Hardys, and the Dudleys in the top 5 together. Because there was so many great tag teams from the 80s and the 70s and even beyond. But so you may be asking me, well, do you think the Dudleys are the best team out of the 3? Yes, I do. Even better than the Hardys. Because you could argue, like, the Dudleys never, I mean, Bully Ray had a singles run in TNA, right? Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy both had decent single runs. So did Edge and Christian. But the Dudley Boys, to me, were a better team than the other 2. I mean, we're splitting hairs. They were all 3 great teams. But again, I would have, and we talked about this on Drunken Pop-Ups. I got laughed out of the room because I said Pat Patterson and Ray Stevens, the Blonde Bombers from the 70s. I've watched some of the AWA stuff. It's terrific. I don't know if I can put Arn and Tully in the list, because they were only a team for like 2.5 years. 3 years, somewhere in there, right? Midnight Express I'm putting on there for sure. Rock and Roll I probably put up there. And then I know this is a cop-out. Probably have the Briscoes and the Funks together. And by Briscoes, I mean Jack and Jerry. It kills me that Shane McMahon's on this game and he wrestles in a suit. It's fantastic. And then, so like in the context of all history, I don't think you could put the Dudley Boys in the top 5. But on the same token, when all things are considered, including drawing money and, you know, moments and all those other things, I don't think you can discount the Dudleys entirely. Because again, I listed off 4 teams and we only got to like 84. Yeah, you guys just, what? How do I? Oh, that works, I suppose. This is the first time we faced Rikishi. We have beaten Shane McMahon before. How? Oh, okay. All right. That was sudden. And all things considered, I mean, If you look close enough in the background over my shoulder, I have the Midnight Express action figure box set. So again, I think the Dudleys get us, have somewhat of a claim to, a top, we'll say top 10, top 5's impossible. There's been too many good ones. Harlem Heat, I think has a stake. The Steiners for sure. Steiners might actually be top 5. That one's hard to argue. Hey, for one, you can't pin me. Yeah, we'll just ignore Rikishi, Shane. Did we have a ladder match in the last one? I don't think we did. I don't remember it. Because here's the thing. I remember how hard the triple threat cage match was. This is going to be impossible. Grab belt is X. This is going to suck. Real bad. I'm not even going to attempt to put the ladder up and win right now. It would be pointless. Demolition, solid. Solid choice. And you want to hear something crazy? I think they were a tag team longer than Arn Tully were. Now, Arn and Tully are still in the conversation for top 10. But I think when you just consider the tenure, I don't know if you can have him up there. And I'm assuming when you're talking the Briscoes, you're talking about Mark and Jay, not Jack and Jerry like I am. I'm an old head. Mark and Jay are certainly up there. They just never got the television exposure that everyone else got. British Bulldog, solid. Hart Foundation, solid. All right. It's enough. Roughhausen. Oh, you meant Jack and Jerry. Wow, that's crazy. I thought you would have meant Mark and Jay. But again, I put Mark and Jay up there. They just didn't get the mainstream exposure the other teams did. See what other teams. There's probably a case to be made for both versions of the Midnight Express. Bobby Eaton and Condren, and Bobby Eaton and Stan Lane. Hey, what are we doing? Shane, you big dummy. We're just gonna let him win. Who cares? Who cares? Stop running. Stop. We're having an issue right now. How do I get down? I don't want to be up there. Oh, that worked out well, I guess. Top 5 heel tag teams. Oof. Huh. Well, Midnight Express. Again, they're still up there. In my opinion, the New Age Outlaws were never heels, in my opinion. Even when they put DX in the corporation, that was just stupid. I just walked over the top rope like Kane. So midnight for sure. Harlem Heat, especially when they had Cherry. This is tough. Demolition, I put up there. This is just the teams I've seen, like in my life. I actually watched them. Again, if we wanted to go back in history, I could name a bunch that I didn't actually watch. Most of them I wasn't alive for. Now I'm not putting them on the list, just for the record. Do you want a team that I think is criminally that's the theme of the show is it's underrated. I've been said it 40 times now. A team that I think is criminally underrated, going back and watching some of their older stuff, is the Head Shrinkers. They had a match, and it got shit on by the critics because it didn't look smooth. But going back and watching that match, them two teams beat the shit out of each other. And remember, that's Samu, Rikishi, and then Rick and Scott Steiner. Now, that's legit. You could make a case for the Outsiders before they became cool. Once they became cool, they again to me they weren't baby faces or they weren't heels anymore. That's a tough one. Just heel baby or heel tag teams. I'll give you one, the Rougeau brothers. Pretty decent heel team. See, for this list, I will put Arn and Tully on it. For this list. But then you also have to do Arn and Ole, the Andersons. What the hell was that? What was that? Oh, I hate triple threat matches. See, at least we got to the fatal four-way. I could win them in no time flat. These are a pain in the ass. Because at any given time, somebody's watching you. He's 8 feet away. What a crock of shit. I think it actually would have been interesting to see the Steiners have a heel run. That would have been fun to watch. This should not be this hard, but it is. The Natural Disasters. Let's throw them up there. Underrated tag team also. Brothers of Destruction. Although were they really a heel team? Now, to be fair, Rikishi is the only legitimate Intercontinental champion in this match. Texas Outlaws, Rhodes, and Murdoch. Like that one. That's a good one. Now Shane's going to win it because Rikishi's not paying attention. Look at this. But yet when I go up the ladder, they try to light the building on fire. Well, that works out nice. How's we get the ladder now? Mean Street Posse. See, I can't win it. Why can't I win it that fast? Horse shit. Fuck. Get away from me. Cool. I already hate this game now because I couldn't get the belt. They both just won in 12 seconds, and I got up there unimpeded and couldn't win. What a crock of shit. Are you supposed to time the swing? Like, what are we doing here? That's 4 in a row. 3 by Rikishi and 1 by Shane. They just get up the ladder and win the shit. Boom, bam. What difficulty is this on Hall of Fame? And I wasn't paying attention. Oh, hell. Here we go. Top 5 Intercontinental champions. This probably will not be difficult for me. Randy Savage, not in any particular order, by the way. Randy Savage, Mr. Perfect. I can't do Ricky Steamboat because he was only champion for like 8 minutes. See, after the top 2 gets a little more tricky. Because in my head, I'm going, do I want to do Razor, Shawn, or Brett? In my opinion, I actually think Razor Ramon was a better Intercontinental champion than Shawn was. Great. That's how that goes. Austin, everyone kind of forgets Austin had a pretty decent run with the Intercontinental title. But The Rock was better, I would say. His run was better anyway. What the shit? I hate this game. Remember, I said I can't believe this, how far this game flew by so fast. I've had so much fun. I can't believe we're done. I'm ready to just from this match. Jericho, I think, would have to go on the list. Guerrero. Actually, Triple H had a pretty decent run as Intercontinental champion. So the top 2, again, Savage and Perfect. That's easy. After that, it gets kind of hard. Because again, unfortunately, there's been so many. But the thing was, like the late 90s, early 2000s Intercontinental champions, you can't put any of them on the list. Except for maybe RVD. And Jericho. But Regal had a pretty good run as Intercontinental champion. Jeff Hardy wasn't terrible. Edge wasn't bad. Hell, Jeff Jarrett wasn't bad. Mark Amaro. I'm kidding, of course. You know, I don't. Maybe it's just me. I've always found it like hard to imagine that Rick Martel never won the Intercontinental title. I thought he did till I was like 25, and then I looked up the rate. I'm like, oh shit, he never won the belt. That's crazy. I don't know. I always saw him as an Intercontinental champion. Oh, Honky Tonk Man, solid. Forgot about that. That's a good one. Greatest Intercontinental champion of all time. He pinned the shit out of him. Or you guys go outside the ring too. That's cool. Hey, guy. Kurt Angle. Eurocontinental was good. Antonio's got a good one. Gunther. That's good. Honestly, I liked Cody's dashing Cody Rhodes and then the ugly breakdown. I enjoyed that a great deal. Got to include the Miz. Most people don't like to. I don't know why. Get. Shane just stood right back up. Said to hell with it. Would you? Thank you. Who else is there? Hey. That would have pissed me off. Lantern landed on my head. That's rude. I love that you just can't reverse anything in this game. You just got to let it happen. I don't want to pin him. Stupid. How did he take the ladder from me facing the wrong direction? Again, I can't get it. No, sir. Hate it. You got to be a professional. Oh, hell. I will give this game this. It's so good on so many levels. They definitely did not figure out the mechanics on a triple threat match because this is a nightmare. Nice. Got this the cough / sneeze button on time, and almost exploded my sternum. That hurt. Oh, excuse me. Hey. Why can't I face Shane? Of course. Yeah, it's true. Like most of these lists, the first 2 or 3 are easy and it gets harder after that. Although I don't know. Do you think, well, for one, I bet you the WCW ones would be easier because it was, much more finite. But do you think the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, and I don't mean the big golden WWE, I meant the world title in general. Do you think that would be as hard to list 5? I don't think anyone can argue, feelings aside, Hogan's number 1. Austin's number 2. And then again, after that, it gets tricky. For the longest time, the best-selling world champion at WrestleMania, not named Hulk Hogan, was Randy Savage forever. And it was WrestleMania 5. Love Undertaker, you can't put him on there. Love Mankind, can't put him on there. Triple H certainly has the amount of reigns. I don't think he belongs. Cena for sure. So there's 3 absolutes. Austin, Hogan, Cena. I don't think The Rock goes. Roman. Probably going to do Roman. I don't know if Cody's there yet. He's climbing for sure. So let's go our number 5. Some big names we've left off. Brock Lesnar, Shawn, Brett, Yokozuna. Oh my Jesus Lord. We're just going to do this all night. We're just going to get our asses whipped by Rikishi and Shane McMahon in a ladder match. Angle. Did I say Undertaker? I think I did. Brock, JBL, I'd actually put up there for contention. Cody. Does Cody sneak in at number 5? That's interesting. Randy Orton, Batista. I don't, as much as I like Jericho and Edge, to me, can't put them in there. Well, I guess it depends on what we're basing this on. If it's drawing power, it ain't Jericho and Edge. If we want to go biggest surprise, maybe most entertaining, I think Jericho gets the nod then, or at least is in the discussion. Edge, I just don't think so, man. Like, he was good in his time in that like 2-year window, but I don't think he's in the list of greatest WWE champions ever. I just don't. It's my opinion. I just don't. Again, when we're sitting here having a conversation, like who haven't we talked about in the top 5, and we're with Cody and Brock and The Rock and Randy Savage, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels. Edge is not in that category. And honestly, Jericho might be right on the outside looking in too. Orton, we haven't put in there yet. Batista. So no, I don't think, if none of those guys are going to, well, if any of those guys are going to not be in the top 5, I don't think you put Jericho and Edge in there either. I just don't. Punk. Heel Punk, his 454-day reign that the WWE made one of their worst decisions of all time and had The Rock end it just so they can set up Rock Cena 2 for the title, which was terrible. The whole thing, oh God, that pissed me off. And yes, I'm a CM Punk homer. You can see his painting is right over my shoulder. But that was dumb. I was so pissed when they ended Punk's reign with The Rock. I hated it. Now, granted, we got Punk Undertaker, which was one of my favorite Undertaker matches at WrestleMania. And actually, I was at the Raw where CM Punk stole the urn after Paul Bearer died. I was there. Who else we got? Again, if we want to talk entertaining, I don't think The Miz gets his love. I still remember, like, one of my most vivid memories of wrestling from that time frame, from The Miz's championship reign, was the ladder match he had with Jerry Lawler. Because I'm sitting here, if you go, again, I'm a giant territory wrestling nerd, like researching wise. And I just started around that time to start really reading books and starting to dig into the territories. And I knew about Jerry Lawler's success in Memphis and knew what he meant to territory wrestling. And I thought, holy shit, they're going to give him a run with the belt. Like, the match was that good. The Miz made Jerry Lawler look that good. I was like, holy shit, they're going to have Lawler win, give him, the feel-good moment, the thank you title reign, just to drop the next night to the Miz or whoever. Only for the Miz to win. But that is where, again, so some of my most memorable title matches in my life is that one. As stupid as this sounds, Triple H and Taka on SmackDown in like 2000. And then 1, 2, 3 Kid Bret Hart. I think it was July of 94. Are some of my favorite world title matches. Triple H catches Shaq at Royal Rumble, goes up there too. I'm going to body slam the Big Show. What do you think about that? Just that easy. We didn't mention Big Show. You know what's interesting? I genuinely do not know what Big Show's legacy is going to be. And here's what I mean by that. Is he going to be remembered as one of the more dominant wrestling figures over a 20-year stretch, 95 to 2015, roughly, right? World championship reigns, tag team title reigns, intercontinental title. He had that great run, heel run in ECW. Good on him for that. Or is he just going to be one of the most athletic big men ever? To me personally, he's both. But I think to most people, he's not. I don't think most people look at Big Show that way. And to me, like, if Big Show is one of the more, absolutely is the most athletic big man ever, big athletic giant ever. If he's not one of the most dominant wrestling figures over 20 years, why isn't he? You know what I mean? Like, what is he missing that doesn't get him there? And I don't know if I can answer that. Like, that's why I think he is. Top 5 big men. See, to me, this one's easy. Andre, Big Show. Again, no order. Undertaker, Kane. And then I got to number 4 or number 5. Andre, Big Show, Undertaker, Kane. Man, is Nash number 5? I think he is. I think Nash is number 5. I don't know why I'm so surprised by that, but I think Nash is number 5. I think it has to be, right? Or is it Sid? Do you go Nash or Sid? There you go. Do you go Nash or Sid? Because Sid had moments where he was one of the hottest wrestlers in the business, but overall, he didn't draw anywhere near the business Nash did. Oh, Vader. Vader's up there. Yeah. See, my definition of a big man, I wrote an article for a wrestling website about this very thing. So I wrote an article for the top 10 big men that WWE forgot because they had just done Gorilla Monsoon, good one. They had just done top giants, biggest, best giants or whatever. It was a DVD WWE release. So I talked about the big men they didn't list. And to me, a giant big man, however you want to phrase it, to me is 6'7" or bigger, or 330 or bigger or heavier. So I had Bam Bam. I had Terry Gordy. Now, granted, he was the executioner in the WWE. No one remembers him, and it was the tail end of his career. I had Yokozuna. I had, and people are going to laugh at this, but give me a minute. I had Bastion Booger. But I really didn't have Bastion Booger. I had Mike Shaw, who played him. And the reason why I had Mike Shaw is if you go back to Canada for Stampede when he was Makhan Singh, like he was never going to set the wrestling scene on fire, but he was a pretty good big man heel in Stampede. And then he went to the U.S. and they made him Norman the Lunatic, and then Bastion Booger and Friar Fran and all that shit. Who else did I have? I'm sure there was. I don't remember. That was 15 years ago. I wrote that. So okay, let's do this. We named 4. I think we all agree: Big Show, Andre, Undertaker, Kane are 4 of the 5. So at number 5, do you have Nash, Sid, Gorilla Monsoon, Vader, or Yokozuna? Unfortunately, I think just for tenure, I think Yoko gets axed. Unfortunately. But if you're going to do a top 10 Giants, I think Yokozuna is a shoo-in. Bam Bam, compared to Gorilla and Vader, didn't draw the money, or Sid. So I think he goes. So now you're down to Nash, Sid, and Gorilla. That's tough. Gorilla, and he's one of the most influential wrestling businessmen of all time. But again, you can't really, that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. But he was arguably the best drawing heel during the Bruno Sammartino days. That's a lot. That's a lot of weight, figuratively and literally. Nash was in the hottest group that revived wrestling. One can make a strong case that without the NWO, we're not here doing this show today. And then again, Sid, inconsistent, giant gaps in his playing time. But man, that dude was over every time he showed up. Nash was 6'10". I think he was 6'10", like 330. No, he might have been a legit 7 foot. I don't remember, but he was somewhere in that neighborhood. And here's the thing: if we're going to consider 6'7", 300 to be, the guideline to be a big man, Razor Ramon and Hulk Hogan are both over both of those. What just happened? We're all down. This has been good. I like this has been a fun show. I think my wife and I are going to go to dinner tomorrow night. I want sushi. Big fan. Got Hardcore Holly. We got to put Hardcore Holly in the best big man ever. Super heavyweight. Get up. He didn't see my drop kick coming and reversed it. Okay. Don't you be coming over here, sir. You dick. I was setting up for the Eye of the Storm. And you interrupted me. Now my special's gone. What a penis. Oh. Yeah, so my definition for the article was 6'7" or bigger, or 330 or heavier. Yeah. Sorry. Oh, I had who was the guy from AWA? Jerry Blackwell, who's on there too. King Kong Bundy. Again, probably had 4 or 5 years in the business where he was big, but when he was real big. Headline WrestleMania 2. 5 wrestlers who were never world champs. We should just call this episode Top 5. I'm going to call it when I post it. Well, again, I would say the mass consensus is Perfect Razor 1 and 2, or whichever combination you want. Jake Roberts, Roddy Piper. Again, I will swear to the day I die, I will tell anyone who's willing to listen, Roddy Piper should have won the title at Super Bowl 7 in San Francisco. Kiss my ass. I mean, this is an interesting argument because if you don't count territory titles, which I do, Jerry Lawler, but he won the Southern Heavyweight title 400 times. What? Why did I get up? Regal. I'll throw him Regal in the mix. Oh, that's, by the way, that's Big Show's finish, the alley-oop. What a piece of shit. What? Quit moving so much. Don't you know I'm trying to get you in the eye? Oh, I drop kicked and I missed. I was going to have a smart aleck comment and everything. Who else? Who else didn't win a world title and probably should have? Marty Jannetty. Let's see. Arn. I absolutely count Andre as a world champion. Absolutely, I do. Ted DiBiase, because I don't count Ted DiBiase. Now, I absolutely, hindsight being 2020, and I was a kid, but I thought the WWF could have got serious heat out of somehow making up a contractual loophole where Ted DiBiase could have actually bought the world title and defended it, and had, instead of the tournament at 4, just had DiBiase versus Savage. I thought that would have been great if they just would have done that. And WrestleMania 4 is still my favorite WrestleMania. I love that tournament, but I love Randy Savage so much. So DiBiase's up there. I don't count Andre. Andre's a champion. Arn, yes. And again, you can make the case in 94 with that audience. Arn probably could have snuck in a world title reign, and I don't think anyone would have been real upset about it. Dustin Rhodes. Gold Dust specifically. And again, I love Dustin, his career. I don't think outside of Gold Dust he was ever enough of a star to ever really be in the contention for the world title. WCW 2000, if they would have had their shit together, he probably could have, just by name recognition. Ow. Ow. Stop it. Okay. All right. Now he's ganging up on me. They're both just attacking me. Thank you for not letting me get hit with Tessa's finisher. Tessa's. Now I'm just dead. So I used to be real pissed about David Arquette being world champion in WCW. Again, for the same reason. We just listed off all these great dudes and none of them were champion, but yet David Arquette was. I used to be mad about it. But for two things. For one, from all accounts, David Arquette meant to do right and was a giant wrestling fan. So whatever. It is what it is. And in the context of like pop culture at the time and what was big from a WCW perspective, I understand why they did it. I don't like it, but I get it. Okay, with the pins, people. Yeah, you take that. Oh, wait, Big Show has 3 finishers. Just can't reverse nothing. You're just let it happen. Just let it happen. So I've noticed that a bunch of pins have just been walked out of. Are we doing rope breaks in this for some reason? Get up. So he's done the alley-oop and the choke slam. Eye of the Storm. Hurricane. Oh, Lord. Come on. 1, 2. Do we have rope breaks in this match? Because he didn't kick out. I just got up and I didn't press the button. Now I'm upset again. See what happened? Mr. Kennedy. I don't know. There was a 2-year run. He was arguably the hottest guy in the business. And a lot of potential. Like face of the company potential. But I don't know if he goes in that category. I just don't. Did Kennedy never win the TNA title? I don't know the answer to that. Did he really? I don't know. Did he not? Because that would be surprising to me. Oh, apparently there's no rope breaks because he just won with my finisher. Let's see. Is there anyone else never should have been champion or should have been champion? Never was what I wanted to say. I don't know. I mean, there can't be too many more than that, right? See, when it comes to like David Arquette, I'm far more aggravated that Vince Russo was champion than I am that David Arquette was. Are you upset that Vince McMahon was world champion? No. And here's why. Is because for one, Vince McMahon was built like a shit brick house, even in his 50s. And two, he stacked the deck in a way with the corporation and the Royal Rumble that it wasn't completely far-fetched that Vince McMahon could not have won the world title in that scenario. So yeah, Vince Russo was way worse winning the world title than Vince McMahon. Top 5 overachievers. So what is this like people who were champion that maybe no one thought they would have been? Because if that's the case, I have some weird ones. And here's another thing. Do you count the ECW title as a world title for like Matt Hardy and Zack Ryder / Matt Cardona? Is the ECW world title a world title? Or is it not? Is it less than? I don't know. I just thought of that. I honestly don't know what to do with that. Ezekiel Jackson was ECW champion. There's a name from the past, huh? I would say one overachiever has to be Diamond Dallas Page. I mean, I would, Jesus. I would say he's the undisputed number one. Got into wrestling at 35. You know, allegedly, as the story goes, when he told Dusty Rhodes he wanted to be a wrestler, Dusty fell down the parking lot laughing. Someone who didn't have the size or ability to achieve what they did. Well, with the ability word, you just ruled out Bryan Danielson. Because I was going to say him with size. But he definitely had the ability. So I guess that disqualifies him. Great Khali. For sure. They did a hell of a job window dressing that because he couldn't hardly walk. And is one of the more dominant, frightening figures in WWE history. Well, I say with a slight smirk on my face. Chris Candido. Put him up there. This is an interesting one. See, Punk, I would put Punk in very much in the category of didn't have the size, but his mic skills make up for it. He just reversed my finish again. I remind you. Funaki. He's had a consistent job with the WWE for like 20, 30 years now. Did he just kick out of whatever that was? That's ridiculous. Ridiculous. You know, Brawler was there forever, 30 years or more. But again, I know you mean on screen. So again, DDP for sure is my number one. Without a doubt. I'm going to do a little taunt while they're playing tummy sticks where they're doing up there. See, every time I think of someone who's small, they're just ultra gifted in the ring, like Dean Malenko, Daniel Bryan. Shane Helms. Well, again, he was super gifted in the ring. Damn it. Lash LaRue. I don't mean that as a joke either. When I can't remember where I read his story. It was in a WCW magazine. Maybe he read it on one of the shows they do. I don't remember, but wow. What a story from Lash LaRue. Who else? This is a tough one. Because the unfortunate thing about the wrestling business is the guys that don't make it. It's very rare. Let me phrase it to you this way: if a guy loves the wrestling business enough, or you know, like Daniel Bryan, just or Bryan Danielson, just through the moon, love for wrestling. They're generally not going to fail. So there's not a lot of like underachievers. There's a ton. Underachievers, not so much. When you are done, think about underachievers, someone who had the world handed to them and had the look, ability, and everything, but fell way short. Okay, Great Khali for sure then. Great Khali, Mark Jindrak. And there's been some Sean Stasiak. There's been some doozies. There's been some doozies of those over the years. Buff Bagwell. There's a time, if you go back and watch WCW like 97, 98, when Buff was at his peak as a heel, there was a time where I could have seen Buff as like the future face heel of let me rephrase that. The future top heel of WCW. I could have seen it. Chris Masters and Carlito are good ones. Antonio. Test, unfortunately. He was, this version of Test was pretty good. Then he got on the juice and went to ECW and just got gross. Now, here we go. We just talked about one. Mr. Kennedy. Quit. How you like it? Did he just hit me with 2 finishes? Vader after the Orndorff fight. I get that. But to say that would negate the rest of Vader's career. Vader was already 38 years old when he got into that fight with Orndorff, or 36, somewhere in that time frame. So as dumb as it was to get beat up by a naked Paul Orndorff in flip-flops, like all of that story is my favorite. He'd already had one hell of a career before that. How do you like them apples? Why did he get up? I cannot pin anyone. It's like rope break for ye, but not for me. Or thee. Did I say ye? Yeet. He was up and taunting before I could finish the animation for my finish. This is dumb. Yeah, you take that. Whoa, you're a winner. You know what? Greatest wrestler to never win the world title? Paul Orndorff. Be remiss if we left him out. Bob Orton. Oh shit! I just got a bunch of new ideas. So I can't count Vader because he had a tremendous career before naked Paul Orndorff made him his bitch. This will be our last match of the night. Albert Jeff Hardy, our world champion William Regal and the Hurricane. Again, next week, Super WrestleMania for Super Nintendo. Crazy. It feels like just yesterday I started the show. We're already going to be on our 4th video game. That's wild. And only one of them's been shitty. WCW versus the World. Absolute trash. The rest of them have been pretty fun. Here's one, and we kind of talked about him earlier. Do you consider King Kong Bundy an underachiever? Again, WrestleMania 2, main events with Hogan in the cage. Granted, WrestleMania 2 is a disaster. Business-wise, it does okay. But that was the one that was at New York, Chicago, and LA. It disappears. after WrestleMania 3. Comes back in 95 to wrestle Undertaker at Mania and join the $1 Million Corporation, and then disappears to never be seen again. So maybe Bundy's on there, on the overachiever list, or underachiever. Now, if you want to say, I can't even say Vader in the WWF was an underachiever because Shawn, what's the word? Sabotaged his career before he even get started with his SummerSlam debacle. And to this day, I do not understand how the owner of a wrestling company could watch his world title main event be handled so unprofessionally by his world champion and not get fired. I will never if it would have been me, I would have fired Shawn Michaels that night. Like, you just went out on my pay-per-view in my world title match and acted like a complete jackass because Vader wasn't in the right spot. So you decided to just break kayfabe and belittle him in the middle of the match. Get your shit and get out. I will never understand that, especially knowing, we all know now how Vince was and is. Dare say 98% of people would have been fired after that match. But somehow Shawn, and not even considering all of the other outside the ring problems Shawn was making for the WWF at the time. I don't get that one. Just baffles me. I've never understood that. I can go with my friends down at WCW. Good. I hope you pack. You can be their problem. And here's the thing. After all that, with all I've said, I'm not even saying I'd make Vader the champion. I just know it wouldn't have been Shawn. He would be gone. Now, again, luckily, Shawn came back in 2002 and completely rehabbed his image in his career. But man, I know as a wrestling fan, and again, in 98 at WrestleMania 14, I was just starting to kind of figure things out in wrestling. In 98, I was not upset Shawn left. I was upset for him. He got hurt and all the other stuff. But as far as like not having to watch him on TV, not upset. I thought in ring, no question, Shawn Michaels is on a very short list of greatest in-ring wrestlers of all time. But as a character, especially 94 through 98, and yes, that I'm including when he was in DX, I thought him as an entertaining character on television was vastly overrated. I think in that time, again, 2002, Shawn, different story for me. But that 90s Shawn, to me, his in-ring work masked a lot of his entertainment / personality snafus, in my opinion. Let's see if I can just walk up the ladder and sneak a win in. Come on. What is taking so long? What is taking so long? Dean Ambrose, underachiever. I don't know. Like, did he leave a lot on the table? Probably. For WWE, for sure. But he was world champion. He was Intercontinental champion. He's U.S. champion, tag team champion. At one time, one of the biggest baby faces in the company. Again, I don't think he did as much as he could have. I don't know if underachiever is, I don't know if that's the right word. But I also won't say he overachieved. I would say Dean Ambrose achieved. He's neither. He did about as much as he should have. Mid-Carter, someone who never had a main event run but was a household name and always hung around the mid-card level. Razor Ramon, Scott Hall. Neither one had a main event run. And here's the sad part about that is, if you remember, another, in my opinion, WCW missed opportunity. And what should have been the natural break of the Wolfpack was, if you recall, Scott Hall wins World War III. Right? So theoretically, he gets the world title match, and I think it was Super Brawl. Yeah. And at the time, the champion was Hogan. They were setting up for Starrcade 97. So it was either going to be Hogan or Sting. And then we all know what happened. Sting wins at Starrcade. Now we have Hogan's telling Hall, you can get your world title match, but not until I do. Which is like, what? And then Scott Hall, I think, said in one of his promos, like, what if I want to wrestle you to Hogan? And I think Scott could have helped Sting retain and turned on Hogan at Super Brawl. Yeah, the whole world title was a mess in 98, especially in the beginning. Hall turns babyface, right? So he becomes like, the first one to excise out of the NWO. But he's telling Hogan, you can't get rid of me. I'm one of the founders. So he starts sending Bagwell and Norton and all the other NWO guys after Hall. Well, then Nash turns and joins Hall. And thus you have the natural babyface turn of the NWO Wolfpack. And then the actual NWO Hollywood versus NWO Wolfpack feud actually makes sense, as opposed to whatever happened. I still would have had Sting join it. To me, I never understood that. But in that, even throughout all that, Scott Hall, I think he finally got a world title match at like Spring Stampede or something. I don't even remember. But he never really had a sustained main event run, even when he was with the Outsiders, which to me is probably the biggest run he had. But he never really had a main event run, in my opinion. So Scott Hall's got to be there. See, Perfect did have a main event run with Hogan in 89-90. Jim Duggan, outside of Mid-South, never really had a main event run. Did Jake Roberts have a main event feud? I don't remember him feuding with Hogan for whatever reason. Why didn't they do that? That would have been magic. Who else? Technically, Jerry Lawler, except for his one ladder match with The Miz. Jerry Lawler was never really in the main event, in my opinion. I mean, his feud with Brett, it was never for the world title, for the King of the Ring and Dr. Isaac Yank and other goofy shit. Can't pin me, dummy. It's a fucking ladder match. MVP. If he had a main event run, I don't remember it. He would go up there for me. Actually, I've met MVP, and he's a super nice guy. Probably doesn't want me to say that, but he is. Do we consider X-Pac in that vein? Sean Waltman. That's an interesting case study. Marty Jannetty. Hey, every time. Hey, guys up on the ladder, do you want to stop him? Nope. Just gonna keep doing what I'm doing. This is gonna be my last attempt. Yeah, this if I had one complaint about this game, it would be they did not figure out multi-man matches. They are a pain in the dick. Where's the ladder? Yeah, I think Snuka did have a main event run. It was just early enough that none of us remember. It was like 79, 80. Morocco did not in the WWF anyway. He might have somewhere else. I just don't know about it. George Steele, was he not one of the Bruno heels? I think he was. I think he was one of the Bruno heels. Greg Valentine, that's a good one. Because even when he was feuding with Piper, which is easily his hottest feud, that was not the main event of Starrcade 83. So Tito's a good one. Tito didn't have a main event run, not in the WWF anyway. So if Tito, let's this is fun. If Tito was going to have a main event run, when and with who? Oh shit! And here's another question: do you guys consider the AWA title to be a world title? Because if that is the case, then both Kurt Hennig and Rick Martel were world champions. And again, me being a nerd and knowing the size of the AWA territory, I absolutely count that title as a world title. I will tell you, Jeff Hardy's obnoxious in this scenario. Matt Hardy won a TNA title. And I do count that. Oh, never mind. We're just doing never had a main event run. That's because usually, like most of those like the mid carders, usually you sneak them in once in a while just to give other people a break, you know. Yeah, there's not a lot. D'Lo Brown, Val Venus. It's a shame he turned into such a crazy prick in his older age. He's not old per se. Did Papa Shango have a main event run? I was going to say any incarnation of the Godfather, but I think Papa Shango did technically have a main event run with the Warrior. Why can't I reach it? What the hell? He's giving me all day. I can't even see the belt. Cool. See, like even Boss Man, he had a run with Hogan when he first came into the company. Okay. Bobby Eaton, there's one. Well, no, because Rock and Roll Midnight did a lot of main events. Well, shit. See this thing with Arn. Horsemen were main event. No question. Shamrock. Yeah, Shamrock absolutely should have had a main event run, but I agree. I don't think he did. I don't think he did. Again, we talked about last night when I was playing Warzone. I think Shamrock Austin in 98 could have done some shit. Like that would have been amazing. But again, it also wouldn't have been surprising to me if they would have gone to Austin and said, hey, we want you to work with Shamrock. And he would have been like, no, I'm good. Owen, well, no, because Owen feuded with Brett. Damn it. Honky Tonk Man. Honky Tonk Man did not main event. At least he wasn't in a main event scene. He's the Honky Tonk Man. Ricky Steele, well, no, because he had a main event run in NWA. Definitely did not have one in WWF. He just hooked the ladder outside the ring. What a penis. I want to see if there's a tip in here for this ladder match because I'm about over it. Game basics, page 3. Climb the turnbuckle, weapons, game basics. What about a ladder match? Oh, is there Royal Rumble on here too? Oh, shit. It just tells you to use the ladder and grab the belt. Well, thank you. Yeah, it tells you nothing. No tips. So it's even more aggravating that I just stood up there for 2 minutes uninterrupted, and just never grabbed the belt. Power of the punch. Very familiar with that move. You're gonna pin me, doofus? Oh. This has been one of our better like chat topic shows. This has been good. You guys are killing it tonight. Thank you all for joining us for this final night of WrestleMania X8 for GameCube. Of course, next week we're plugging in. We're going from one Nintendo to the other. Nintendo GameCube to Super Nintendo for Super WrestleMania. Which I know has Ted DiBiase, the Natural Disasters. They have 2 tag teams. I think the other one's Money Inc. Maybe. No, because what's it? Or maybe there was a tag team per game. I don't remember. I have all my notes. We'll get into that next week. Stop it. Are you going to let Albert win? You're going to climb behind him like a dumb shit? Oh, my God. They did let Albert win. What a... Again, when I try to climb the they bring a tank out. When the computer wins, they're just like, look at the grace of this man. So we're going to say, and then we're going to bid adieu for tonight and say goodbye to WrestleMania X8. And unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be coming back to it in the future. Good game. Multi-man matches suck balls. I can only imagine what the Royal Rumble match is like on this game. No, thank you. But again, thank you to everyone for joining us tonight. Been a great show. Great conversation. And we'll see you next week when we start Super WrestleMania for Super Nintendo, when we put WrestleMania X8 for the GameCube to bed. In the meantime, this has been Bash on the Buttons. I'm TJ Stevens, and we'll see you right here next week on the Markout Moments Network.